We'll just move into public comments. This is an opportunity this morning where anybody who would like to address some of the issues that were in front of the board this morning or this week or this past year or future years can feel free to step forward to the microphone. Please step forward and introduce yourself if you have public comments that you would like to make.
I'll start us off.
Okay.
My name's Belinda Scallis, and for what it's worth, I had prepared two statements this morning. One on the off chance that you chose to support the KBRA, and I'm very disappointed that you've chosen not to steer the ship from on it, but rather to send torpedoes at it. It's a great disappointment to our community. So I just want to voice my disappointment in the Board of Commissioners' decision to discontinue its involvement in the KBRA and KHSA. Whether the county loves or hates these agreements, you have just chosen to undercut your ability to work on behalf of the county within your participation. Representing the county in such contentious issue as the balance of water in the Klamath Basin is surely an arduous task, but it is arguably the most important issue this board could engage itself in for the long-term prosperity of the county. What the county has or maybe had as a partner in the Klamath agreements was the ability to work in good faith with others who seek long-term solutions to our shared water issues, which affect all water users from the headwaters to the estuary of the Klamath River. The county has now declared itself as an opponent to the agreements and squarely seated itself against collaboration with those who seek common sense solutions to our water crises. I fear that should the county attempt to reopen talks seeking to rewrite the Klamath agreements, they will find themselves alone at the negotiating table. It is a sad day for the county when its elected officials cannot put aside personal grievances to work with others to solve long-standing issues, and that sad day has arrived. Thank you.
Commissioners, Don Gentry, Vice Chair of the Klamath Tribes. I wasn't really sure how the commissioners were going to act today, so I didn't really prepare a response, but certainly disappointed. I agree with many of the statements that have been made, and really pleased that the commissioners have actually started to take the time to look at some of the particulars about the agreements, because I felt the commissioners have been really misinformed and had some perspectives and just kind of bought off on some of the political rhetoric that wasn't accurate in regards to the agreements. I see that commissioners have spent some time listening to the comments and reading the agreements and coming to an understanding, but certainly disappointed in the actions here today. I believe that you are concerned about Klamath County. Perhaps you're thinking this is a good decision, but I really have a difficult time believing that, because what the agreements have been about, it's been about stability, economic stability for people in the community, and a big component of that was water settlement. I appreciated the comments and recognizing the standing that the various parties have had in these negotiations, which I know there were times when the Klamath Tribes had to negotiate and discuss actual water settlement with parties, and in order to facilitate that, you have to have meetings, and because you're dealing with actual property rights and treaty rights, which are subject to discussion and negotiation amongst individuals, that requires meetings behind closed doors, perhaps. And I know you can appreciate that, as somebody that actually deals with water issues and have requested such agreements. So, but it's been out on the table for a number of years now, the actual agreements, and so this idea of agreements behind closed doors, I have a difficult time with that. But I guess from the perspective of the Klamath Tribes, we've tried to look at this issue holistically. We're concerned about our community. We're definitely concerned about our members. We've felt like we're running out of time. In fact, we are running out of time in many regards. The news regarding our endangered swam and our endangered cup-2, it's pretty sad, the way that the populations have been going. And as an individual that's caught these fish and look at that as a part of our history and our culture and who we are as a people, it's really sad to me that we haven't been able to catch those fish. I have grandchildren that have never caught those fish and taken those to elders and learned about our people and the importance of those fish, such as I have. So it's personal to me. But I also believe, those fish are important. And the thing is, we're actually starting at a deficit right now. This whole upper basin ecosystem has suffered some impacts from past management, not trying to point fingers, but we have real issues that require significant restoration, a real focus on restoration. And I believe that the KBRA, unless we have that focus on the restoration and the commitment of the resources that it takes to restore the rivers and the functions to some semblance of something that's sustainable and more healthy, there won't be the flexibility in water management that we really need to provide for the agriculture. So that's been the Klamath Tribe's position. If we actually could figure out a way to address the real issues that are affecting the fisheries and affecting the people, and figure out a way that we could balance the use of water and fix the real problems, we could come up with something that's sustainable. And that's the attempt of the KBRA, and that's why we've been committed to that over the years, because we're committed to protect our treaty resources, to speak up for the fish, to speak up for our community. And I really believe that the Klamath Tribes are going to continue to try to move forward with this, irrespective of the county's actions, because we're committed to the Klamath Basin. We're committed to protecting the treaty resources and the fish that are important to our people. There's no other solution. This idea and focus on water storage, the KBRA doesn't preclude water storage, but there's only so much water, as you've pointed out, and we do need water to flow down the rivers for the fish. We do need water to go to the ocean. We also need water, clean water for the fish that are here. We need water for agriculture. The KBRA has been an attempt, a significant attempt to try to come to that balance. And so we're committed to that as the Klamath Tribes, the success of the agreements. I disagree with some of the things that have been stated and feel that some things were taken out of context. And I guess one of the things I was thinking about in regards to the economy of the basin here, you got to think about the fact that the KBRA is designed to maintain sustainable agriculture. If we lose those jobs, it's going to affect our community greatly. And I appreciate your comments in regards to the benefits the Klamath Tribes would bring as a private local entity here managing the forest, because currently we employ over 400 people. Most of those, or a majority of those, or it's about 50% non-tribal members. So we employ tribal members, so we're always looking out for that. So if we were to obtain the Mazama Forest, we'd be a local entity that's not going away. We have an interest in developing the infrastructure that could even help treat the adjacent forest lands that are in dire need of treatment. So I could go on and on. There was a lot of comments, a lot of statements made, but I appreciate your taking some time to actually look at this. And I think that if you were really to spend the time necessary to understand it fully, you wouldn't have taken the position that you've taken today. Thanks.
Thank you. This is still public comment time. Anybody who wishes to make public comment can step to the microphone. Please introduce yourself and tell us where you live.
I'm Jerry Jones. I live about 5 miles south of Chiloquin. I came to report on a meeting I attended last Wednesday about incidental take for the power company on suckers. There's a lot going on. I don't think the county knows about it. They didn't have a representative there. The tribes didn't have a representative there. Actually, they're doing an environmental analysis, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is helping them prepare that. One of the things, they said that about 40,000 suckers get killed in the dams every year. And they said a lot of that was larvae. I don't know how you count larvae. It's not a sucker, but maybe a lot more larvae going besides the 40,000 suckers. There's no suckers going up the fish ladder at Link River. So the only reproducing populations in Lake Awana and down to the Keno Reach. And they say a lot of the larvae is coming out of the lake, but I don't know how they determine that because nobody's really studying that. And none of the suckers are lasting more than a year in the lake. So to lose that many fish down the dams is a significant issue, I think. The other thing is they're operating under a 1996 biological opinion, while the farmers here are operating under 2008 and 2010 biological opinions. Another one's going to be issued this April for the lake here. And the head biologist, the head lady at the office here said that she has input into that, and she indicated they're not going to be, we'll wait and see, but she indicated all the excess water is not going to get flushed down the river. So we'll see how that comes out, but I think your input would be important. You should be in contact with these people. Another problem I see in there is this EA that they're developing has a no surprise clause in it, whereas subsequent biological opinions, the power company will not be bound by them under the no supplies clause. So scientific advances, they wouldn't necessarily have to address that, and that's bad for the fish, bad for the people here. I definitely think the county should give some input into this EA. This public comment period is open right now. There's a danger somebody could file a suit and shut down the operations of the dam. That's why they're doing this EA, because it's an old biological opinion. And the biologists there confirmed that the short north sucker, if they don't find a solution, is going to be extinct in the lake within 5 years. And I don't think enough attention is being directed to this. They're trying to cut scientific staff, not add to it and find an answer to this problem. So I just want to make you aware of these issues.
As you're leaving, could you send us some of the background information just so that the board has it with regard to, you know, where and when, which meeting you attended? We can research the
It was
minute.
last Wednesday at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Office.
Could you send that to us?
Just leave it to the staff outside.
Yeah.
The meeting.
Yeah, what I'd like is I'd like the time, date, place. That way we can ask for the minutes, et cetera. So.
Right. I don't know if they took minutes, but yeah. You can ask.
Well, yeah, good enough.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
My name is Michael Luft. I'm a citizen of Klamath County, and all three of you are familiar with me testifying against the KBRA. And I want to thank you, gentlemen, for your decision and your vote. If any of you have ever been in bed with the federal government, that's one of the things that the KBRA does. And I was a successful commercial fisherman on the West Coast, and the government got in there to help me. And they helped me right out of business and helped me lose everything I have. We have so much water in the Klamath Basin, and no agreement is going to produce any more water. We have to learn, as you gentlemen said, to conserve water, to build water impoundments that will save water, and to protect our very valuable agricultural system in this county. So I want to thank you again for your vote.
Good morning, gentlemen. And I apologize for my phone going off earlier today. I thought I had the sound off, so I apologize. I think there's no question that all of us, my name is Frank Summers. I am a member of the Klamath Tribal Council. I am from Chiloquin, Oregon. I think there's no question that all of us in this room believe in the Constitution of this United States. As the previous document to the Constitution, which declared the independence of the colonies from their sovereign England, in the second paragraph, it says that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't guarantee that you will be happy. It guarantees that with your life, you have certain freedoms, and with those freedoms, you can pursue what makes you happy. Well, unfortunately, some of you sitting up there were not happy with the KBRA. You chose to look at it from a different perspective, and that is unfortunate. There is another great document that is the Constitution, which comes 12 years later after the Declaration of Independence by the colonies from their sovereign, the United Kingdom. And it states, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish the Constitution for the United States of America." So you look at a couple of statements in there, the domestic tranquility, the peace amongst the people. And it was stated in here that it was a divided community. But what I want to know is all the comments that were sent in and the comments that were made here a couple of Tuesdays ago, what were the numbers exactly? You guys are making a decision, but are you truly doing what the voters of this county are asking you to do? I remember Measure 1880, and it clearly stated what the county in that measure wanted this board to do. And I think the previous commissioners did that. So I question exactly where do those statements that were made that were due in by 5 p.m. on that Friday, what do they actually state? What are the numbers? And I go to a statement that was made here earlier and was said in the public hearing a few weeks ago about the federal government being engaged in this. And Commissioner Malum stated that he wanted this to be local. And that's what we try to do with the people that were at the table doing this in a local meeting to do what's best for our county, what's best for our posterity. That was said earlier. Posterity means for the future generations. That was stated in the preamble of the Constitution of the United States. So, in Article 6, Section 2, it states, "The Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made, or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, and anything in the Constitution or laws of any state in the contrary notwithstanding." So, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and the treaties that are made by the Constitution are the supreme law of the land. In 1864, the Klamath tribes signed a peace treaty with the United States government. And we occupied a homeland that was for our people for all the generations to come. And that treaty is binding today. And so, being the trust officer, the federal government will have to engage on behalf of the Klamath tribes in any kind of dispute. So, because the Klamath tribes were in negotiations and signed on this KBRA, we were exercising our sovereign right to engage with our neighbors into something that could be beneficial for everybody involved and the future of our natural resources. But the federal government has to be at that table on behalf of the Klamath tribes because we signed our treaty with the federal government. So that is the key to the feds being involved. Do we want them involved? No, we're a sovereign nation. We want to maintain our own ways. We want to be good neighbors. But by the actions that you folks have done here today, you know, that makes it very controversial. Because with adjudication becomes the rights to claim that adjudication. And what does that look like when we go to enforce that? What does that say to our neighbors when we have to look out for the natural resources, when we have to be a voice for the voiceless, and that is the fish, the birds, the other animals that utilize them? We have to be their voice for them. So when we make a claim, what does that look to our neighbors in order to protect those living things? And who are we to see a species go extinct? You know, and this KBRA was an opportunity for us to do right by all. You know, and as a tax-paying Klamath County citizen who pays federal and state tax, I am dismayed, disheartened, and somewhat ashamed. Thank you.